Work Comp Talk podcast presents Workers' Compensation Stories, brought to you by Pacific Workers, the lawyers for injured workers. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Work Comp Talk. Joining me today after a long absence is Bilal Qasim. I am excited that you're back on board. And for those of you that have been following us everywhere on social media and you haven't seen Bilal, he's been busy. Bilal, what have you been up to?
Working hard, trying to fight for the clients.
Right. So as some of you guys may know, Bilal still does litigate. He still does fight for injured employees or injured workers in this case. And we're going to dive into one of the topics that's been trending for us in these past few months. And that topic is, claims adjusters. A lot of people don't even know what an adjuster is within the workers' compensation system. So how about you give us a little nutshell, idea of who is this? Is this person? What role do they play in the actual case when someone is filing for workers' comp?
Sure. So I think it's important to start with kind of the main structure of what workers' comp looks like.
Perfect.
So every employer in California, unless they're self-insured, is required to have insurance, which means that if you get hurt on the job, it's not your employer that's directly paying for your injury, it's the insurance carrier. Well, the insurance carrier is generally a financial entity. They don't have claims professionals who are well adept in the law necessarily, and oftentimes they contract out with third-party companies to actually handle the claims process.
Okay.
So your employer will purchase an insurance plan from an insurance carrier, then the insurance carrier will pay a third party to manage the claims. And they pay a third party because it's much easier than actually having to staff all these professionals yourself as a company and have the infrastructure and costs associated with that. So you'll have the insurance carrier that pays this third party administrator, and the adjusters in cases work for the third party administrator. And the adjuster's job is really to work their way through the claims process. And most of that means cost savings.
Of course, they're going to save as much money as they can for their company.
Of course. It's all about the bottom line. And really their job is to ensure that the claim is processing and going through quickly, efficiently, and quite frankly, cost them as little as possible.
So if you compare this to someone that's got car insurance, it's pretty much, you pay for your premium. In this case, the employer pays for the premium for an insurance to cover in case there's an accident, just like we would to pay for our car. If we're in an accident, we have an insurance. So the third party would be someone the insurance then hires to handle the situation if there is in fact an accident at the workplace.
Exactly.
Yikes, that's a lot.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Literally. That's bottom line, will this third party actually care about you being injured at work type of thing? There's a lot of people involved. At the end of the day, that person doesn't even know you. Their job is just to make sure their company kind of saves some money. I get it. It's easier.
Yeah. And each claims adjuster is different.
Right.
Every person comes from a different background. They have different motivations. Companies have different policies on how they handle claims. Generally there is a cost savings component to it. They're also there to make sure the company's doing what they're supposed to legally. And they're processing claims in a way that makes sense and is,
Now, when you say legally, I've heard some stories and I've heard a lot of crazy stuff happening,
Sure.
They get social media accounts and they start investigating and they start sending private investigators to literally just be on top of you and trail you. Is that legal? Is that an actual thing?
It is. And it's not the adjuster that's doing it directly, right? So think of the third party administrator like a football team, right? The quarterback's not running the ball, throwing the ball, catching the ball. They have different roles within the team, right?
Yeah.
And each person's responsible for something different.
Okay.
And that's how the insurance carriers and third-party administrators work. So your adjuster is kind of like the quarterback. So your adjuster is there. They've got a bird's eye view of the case, and they're kind of putting everything together. So, for example, if your doctor wants to request medical treatment, the doctor is not sending the request for authorization to the insurance adjuster so that the insurance adjuster is making the decision. The insurance adjuster will forward the request off to what's called utilization review, which are doctors that they pay to review for medical necessity. So it's the adjuster then forwarding that, not necessarily reviewing it. Okay. Same things with benefits administration and paying the medical bills and stuff like that. They have different departments that take care of those things.
And I'm sure we can dive into a complete conversation about what entitles someone to go through this whole claim process, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that people get surprised with, and it's actually legit part of the case and they're able to do it. So the claims adjusters are not that bad then.
It depends, right? So you've seen Geico commercials, right? And
Of
you see every
course.
insurance commercial and they're like, oh, we're by your side. We're here for you. Like, Allstate's got your back. Like, you need us.
I
We're
don't
there.
know about
like,
Geico, dude.
And it's like, it's the house that's on fire at 3 a.m. and the insurance adjuster's there like hugging the person, right?
Right.
And it's like this depiction of this scene where everyone's like super happy, like, yay
Right.
for insurance, right? That's not the case most of the time, right? And I think a lot of people are jaded by the perception of what insurance is portrayed to us on television and elsewhere. And so they think, hey, if I get hurt, insurance is here to help me.
To protect you, your
protect me,
rights,
right?
to be there for you.
And it's not the case most of the time, to be honest. More often than not, our clients come to us because the insurance adjuster did something to piss off the client. Whether it's deny the case, deny medical care the person needed, not sending them to a doctor soon enough. There's all these things that happen on the insurance side, and that really motivates probably 95% of our clients to come seek out legal counsel.
So let's just say an injured worker jumps into a claim and they've decided, you know what, I got this. I don't need legal advice or I don't need legal help in this aspect. I'm going to try to control as much as I can from my actual claim. What are some of the things they should kind of be aware when they do, in fact, speak to a claims adjuster?
One, they're not your friend. They have a job to do, and that's not necessarily bad, right? Just in and of itself, just they're neutral, right? You can't look at the adjuster and expect this person to go to bat for you, right? They're doing their job and that's it. Second thing is you have to be very exact when you speak to them, because you should just assume that everything they say or that you say to them, they're analyzing, right? They're going to go back, they're going to investigate if what you said is true, they're going to interview other witnesses, they're going to look at doctors' reports. And if they get the sense that you're not credible or that you're being untruthful, that's ammunition to deny your case.
So anything you can say can be used against you.
Will be used against you. Not even can. It just will be used against you.
Good to know. Okay, so don't consider them your friend and be as truthful as you can, I guess. If you're truthful, there should be no issues of you worrying, you saying too much or too little. It's like you're saying it how it is.
Yeah. And honestly, I'll say this too. Attitude matters. I think sometimes people can be aggressive with the adjusters, and the adjusters will fight back, right? They'll push back. They won't, you got to be on your best behavior with the adjuster.
Now, when you say push back, what does that mean? Like they're just going to take longer to prove stuff, or just like
maybe
okay.
if the adjuster just didn't like the way you talked to them, maybe they'll lag a little bit more, or maybe if they were thinking about denying your case and they weren't sure, and you said something that upset them, maybe they're going to deny it now. Not saying that what they did is right, but that just delays you getting medical treatment, the benefits you need in a time that's essential. Right?
I think that's a universal rule. Like treat others as you want to be treated, regardless of the situation that you're in.
Absolutely, and just be cognizant of the power that the adjuster has to make your life miserable, right? And treat them accordingly. Right?
Okay, good to know. Is there anything else we should know as far as like what not to tell them, how not to act? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a ton of things.
Yeah, they ask for a lot of personal information. Some of it they're entitled to, some of it they're not. For example, they are entitled to medical records. Oftentimes, the adjuster will ask for just a blatant, authorization to get any and all medical records that you have in your past history. And maybe you have stuff in your past that you're not comfortable with talking about, or that you don't want other people seeing. And they're not in any way related to the case. Doesn't mean you need to give it to them. But the adjuster is not going to tell you that. They're just going to say, give me everything. Right? They may ask for things like links to social media and things like that you don't necessarily have to provide. Financial information. There's a lot of privileged information or confidential information that you have a right not to produce that the insurance adjuster may ask for just as a matter of course.
Okay.
And oftentimes people are cooperative because they think that the adjuster is just, hey, I want to help out. What they don't realize is the adjuster's really digging in. They're questioning their credibility and they're trying to find a reason to deny the case.
They use your financial statements to kind of like define what type of personality you have or what type of person you are?
No. So for example, adjusters will often ask for Social Security releases. A Social Security release will document all your past jobs, anywhere that you've earned income that you've paid into the system on a W-2 paycheck, right? There will be a history of that. And so the adjuster will often want to see your work history because they want to know if you've done other occupations that could cause or contribute to your injury. Or maybe they want to know if you're holding a concurrent job at the time of your injury that they can place the blame on. And oftentimes your financial information and your pay history and things related to that are privileged and they're confidential and they're irrelevant and you have to push back. But of course you don't know that. You may just sign over these things to the adjuster and let them go through it, right? And it's, You have to be very careful, basically.
Okay, that makes total sense. Now we know what not to tell them. What are some of the things we should share with them? What are some of the things that, you should talk about and it's okay to say without it hurting you?
Yeah, so I'll say the number one reason I see cases denied outside of other medical and legal reasons, just kind of procedurally, is because the adjuster will say that the person did not cooperate with their investigation. So when the adjuster gets the case, they got to do their due diligence, right? They need to look into it and see if what you say happened. It's different if you're laying in the hospital because you have your arm sawed off or something. But if you're at home and you're like, hey, I hurt my back 3 days ago, they're going to want to check into it and see what's going on and see if there was witnesses, if it was reported to the employer and things like that. And so the more information and detail with specificity that you can give about your case, the more likely it is the adjuster will accept liability for it, right? And the more you cooperate, the more relevant information you provide to help them zone in on what happened, that will move the case along much quicker.
Is there times where people have been cooperative, where people have been specific about all the details they share with the claims adjuster, and they just still have bad luck with their case?
Yeah, absolutely. Prime example, I had a gal, unfortunately, she had an assault and battery injury at work, and the employer had initially, I guess, said that she was on a lunch break. And so in defense to a workers' comp case is that you're not actually working, you're on an unpaid break somewhere off campus.
So it's like you're out of our...
Right.
Okay.
So the adjuster really did a terrible job of investigating and didn't realize that my client had the same scheduled lunch for the past 5 years, and it's very well documented. But the adjuster really didn't investigate too far, didn't even bother to follow up with the employer, and just denied the case. Said you're on a lunch break. Didn't happen at work. Yeah. And so I had to file for penalties and sanctions. I had to set the case for trial, and I was actually going to subpoena the adjuster to testify at trial to show what a shitty job they did of trying to investigate the case and how much prejudice it was to my client. And it delayed the case months.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they're like, yeah, we messed up. Sorry.
Yeah.
But so really trying to produce as much documentation and evidence and witness statements or whatever it is you have to support your claim, it'll expedite
the
resolution
process
of every case and get you going much quicker.
What if there's no type of evidence you can actually show? What if there's not really much information? What does a claims adjuster do then?
Becomes a he said, she said battle.
Yikes.
Right? Unfortunately, fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, if it's your word and there's no one else, if you were to take the matter to trial, as long as the judge feels as though you're a credible witness, you would win, right? If there's someone else who's batting against you on the other side, a witness who says, no, I was there and he didn't get hurt or I didn't see anything, well, then it really is an issue for the court to decide. On the adjuster's side, the less likely it is they will deny the case if there's more people there to support your story or there's some kind of documentation or anything. If, of course, you've never had a work comp case before, maybe there's no documentation or witnesses or anything like that, they may still accept your case.
Okay.
Provided, of course, that there's some kind of doctor's report that actually substantiates what happened.
Makes sense. Now, Bilal, you've been litigating, you've been doing workers' comp for so many years. You probably dealt with tons of claims adjusters.
That's why I have all these gray hairs now.
Is that the reason why? Is that the cat?
No, it's the stress from the adjusters.
So Bilal recently has a baby cat who's kind of getting themselves everywhere.
Yep.
Constantly have to follow. It's like a baby. It's like having a baby.
It is, with claws.
Exactly.
Very sharp claws.
No, babies have sharp nails too. You can't really cut their nails at that age. So you've dealt with tons of claims adjusters. I'm just curious to know, what do you think is like the ratio of the good and the bad between claims adjusters? I mean, from what you've dealt with. Would you say 80-20, 80-30?
I don't know. That's a really tough call. I'm not sure. It's difficult to say, right? I've come across some excellent adjusters, and they're on top of things. They're very much neutral. They're not there to see the claimant get nothing, right? They're there to process the case. They know the law. They've done it for a long time. They're very experienced. They're good.
Yeah.
And they're a pleasure to work with most of the time. I think the problem is there's this lack of understanding of the law and lack of training and lack of experience generally that we come across, and that causes a lot of problems in the case.
Okay.
The adjusters are given a great deal of autonomy to do whatever it is they need to do without direct supervision on every single case, and that can cause problems.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, resolving those problems takes time. There's other adjusters too, where really they think their mission is to save money. That's their sole purpose. And quite frankly, there's defense firms out there that are paid bonuses based
That's
on
what I was
how
going to ask
quickly
you.
they
I wonder if they
close
get
cases.
bonuses and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, back when I was, my eyes weren't opened. I was a defense attorney years ago. And, that there's firms, they have bonus programs where the more cases you close and the sooner you close them, the more money the attorney gets paid. Mm-hmm. And I've never been an insurance adjuster. I imagine there's probably similar incentives there.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a whole unknown world. We've cleared up a little bit of what a claims adjuster is, or actually what their role is in a case. Is there anything else you think an injured worker who's not represented or is represented should know about claims adjusters?
No, I mean, I think we covered most of it. I think at the end of the day, adjusters, people just like I am, they probably have choice words to say about me as an attorney. Like, oh, this applicant's attorney is always just trying to make money for his clients and steal money from the insurance companies. And, each side has their perspective.
They do.
And that's fine. That's okay. I think in most cases, just being honest with the adjuster will get you where you need to go. If you try and hide the ball, you lie about prior cases, you make things up, it'll just make things worse.
It makes the process even longer, and it's just unnecessary. It's already long enough. Like, you don't need to add more to it. Like, it's complicated.
But I'll say this, though. If you do run into a bad adjuster or someone's not doing their job, you don't have to take it. You can get an attorney, and the sooner the better. Oftentimes people, they try and give the adjuster the benefit of the doubt. No, they're a few weeks late on my temporary disability checks, or, they only missed providing authorization for this one appointment. Well, it's not going to get any better, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get worse, and it's going to be worse when it's a time you need it the most.
Yeah, that sucks when you're in pain or stuff like that. And it's funny, you just said something about, like, you don't have to take it. Can you switch claims? Do they ever switch claims adjusters if the relationship is, like, really taking a toll on everyone, if it's just not working out? Does that ever happen?
Yes and no. So adjusters will rotate cases just internally, right? Mm-hmm. And there's sometimes a decent amount of turnover within, the adjuster ranks. And so oftentimes, during your case, you might have an adjuster reassigned to your file if someone goes out on maternity leave, or if they're sick, or if they, quit their job, or whatever the case may be. So that happens. On a personal level, like if you were my adjuster and I just didn't like you and I asked the insurance company, can I get a new one? I don't think that would happen. It depends on the case, and it depends on what exactly it is that's going on. If the adjuster's harassing you and is documented or something like that, you complain to management, they'll probably switch. Mm-hmm. But if it's just you don't like the person, my suspicion is probably not.
Okay, good to know. Well, thanks. I think we had enough for claims adjusters. It's overall a good situation. And there's things that people need to look out for just in case things are not working out. And like you said earlier, if someone needs help, just reach out to an attorney. Yep. The consultation is free. I feel like a lot of people don't even try to connect with the attorney because they feel like, he's just going to want to take my money. It's not everyone's like that. So
nope, free consultations. And honestly, look, if we don't think that you're best served by being represented, we'll tell you that.
Yeah. Straight up. So, all right, good to have you back.
Yeah,
I hope
pleasure.
that we get more of you and that we get to enjoy a little bit more topics. By the way, speaking about topics, if you're out there, if you've been through your workers' comp case and you like to share your story with us and kind of like dive into some of the issues you went through or some of the strengths that helped you overcome this whole situation, I mean, we'd be glad to share stories on our podcast as well, and share this podcast with anyone you know. And hopefully we can continue to serve those that need the most and make them feel like they're not the only ones going through an injury and recovering and going through this whole world of the unknown, the workers' comp world here in California.
And if there's any topics that you guys want to hear, let me know. I'm more than happy to share what I know.
Yes, we're going to get all the knowledge out of your head. All right, well, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Make sure you guys follow us everywhere on social media, Work Comp Talk Podcast. You can also send us an email on our website, connect with us that way as well. So we'll catch you guys on the next episode and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever time of the day it is that you're... Do you think that injured workers stay up at night to listen to podcasts? I mean, they're in pain. We'll catch you guys next time.